What the hell is this garbage, Bahir? What the hell is this garbage?
It's a Netflix movie.
Are these big budget blockbusters on Netflix just a way for them to launder money or something? Because it feels like all of the big things that they market and push and have global junkets for turn out to be garbage. Meanwhile, the smaller things, the cheaper things that they seem to pay no attention to whatsoever,
And don't want anybody to cover, by the way.
like Ripley, for example, or
Yeah.
Dead Boy Detectives,
Yeah.
ends up actually being very good.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have what I can imagine to be $100 million production with big names: Jennifer Lopez, Simu Liu, Mark Strong, Sterling K. Brown, and the end result feels cheap and uninspired and ripped off of maybe half a dozen better movies. Like, this movie was the first movie in a very long time that made me angry because of how inept it was.
Oh.
Like, everything about this movie is wrong and stupid. Everything about this movie seems to be made by people who have no attention for detail and don't seem to give a shit what they're doing. It feels like the kind of science fiction that people who have heard of science fiction end up producing. They don't actually know what science fiction is, but they think, oh, wait, you need to have robots. You maybe have a cool scene with a robot upgrading itself, so there are big guns and swords. Maybe there's a weird distant planet with an alien landscape, but then all of the CGI looks terrible because I've seen PlayStation games with like better artwork and design than this. It's just awful.
I came to this off of the great Hollywood Reporter headline, which calls this movie the perfect movie to watch when you're doing your laundry. And I agree. Like, I'm not as angry as you are. And I suspect that's only because this wasn't where my primary focus was. I was playing a computer game as I had this on my second screen. I think if I was to just sit down and focus on it and give it the kind of respect that I give other films, I think I would be just as angry as you are.
And that's exactly what Netflix wants you to do, right? We've read stories, we've read reports in major Hollywood publications that talk about how Netflix executives have offered criticisms on scripts and productions as being not second screen enough.
Yeah.
Because they're expecting you to do 3 other things at least: replying to your text messages, checking your emails, maybe playing a quick computer game on your mobile phone or something while you're watching this. And they don't care.
They don't
Because for
care.
them,
Yeah.
it's playing in the background, the viewing numbers are high, they can take that to advertisers. That's all they seem to care about. Meanwhile, the quality of the product is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Like $100 million is a lot of money. And I think $100 million does not justify CGI as bad as this.
The CGI is less than pedestrian.
First of all, there's no creativity at all in the design of what's going on.
Yeah, there's no look in this movie, right? You pull out as any scene from either of the Blade Runner films and you're like, oh, that's Blade Runner. You pull out any image from Dune and you'll be like, nope, that's Dune. Here, I don't know if it's Dune or Star Wars at points. There was even a shot that felt identical to a shot in Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. Did you see that? The one with Simu Liu dragging the knife across the planet. And I've just like, I feel like I've seen that before in a different Simu Liu movie.
But you've seen everything here before, Bahir.
Exactly. Yeah.
The
you're
sync
right.
with the mech is Pacific Rim. You've seen
Yeah.
it before. The characterization on every single character, all of the main characters in this movie, is so slipshod. Like, J-Lo plays a character called Atlas, which, let me tell you, I'm convinced this movie was written for a male lead.
Oh.
And then it was kind of adopted for Jennifer Lopez, because if you look at all of her characterizations, it feels very typical of a male sci-fi misanthropic lead character.
But maybe they decided to use the characterizations that you're familiar with and make it a woman.
Possibly.
That's the extra step they do.
Which is lazy as shit. But
Lazy as balls.
she is a character for reasons, doesn't like AI. And yet she has no problems playing computer chess in the opening sequence of this film.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, if you're going to go down that route, then go down that route. Like, it would be much more interesting if she was a character in this modern future, which is run by computers, that is completely off the grid. I think that would have been interesting.
Oh, but Uma, did you not notice she always writes with a pen and paper? In fact, the military guys made fun of her because she was distributing a report via paper, Uma.
Where did she find a printer?
It's
Ooh.
character, Uma. It's all character.
I have no idea what Sterling K. Brown is doing in this movie. I had no idea whether he was alive or not. There was one sequence where I thought he was dead, and then, oh no, wait, he's not dead. And then I thought, oh, okay, he got killed again. But nope, he is still alive 20 minutes later. And I'm like, why are you in this film? Simu Liu is so boring and unthreatening in this movie as this global villain that is out to destroy humanity.
They called him an AI terrorist. Just that moniker is more imposing than the actual Simu Liu.
But also, they throw out those words. They throw out those words in the hope that you think it's cool. Oh, we've put the word terrorist with AI. Everyone's talking about AI being a danger. I bet they're going to think that's really cool. But they do nothing to actually back that up.
You know what it is? It's funny because a film made in the 80s, i.e. Terminator, has got more stakes, messaging, treats artificial intelligence a lot better than this one does.
Absolutely. 100%. And then, let me get to the thing that makes me the most angry.
Okay, here we go.
Which just reflects the sheer laziness and ineptitude of these writers. If you are going to quote Asimov in the opening of your film and his law of robotics, but then in the movie you think, I'm going to subvert this lah. Because what the AI does is kill humanity in order to save it, because it's programmed to not harm human beings, but human beings are harming themselves, bro. And so I need to kill you to save you so you can start afresh. All of that seeming cleverness and subversion is absolute bullshit. Many writers have tried this before and failed because they have failed to understand Asimov's 3 laws of robotics.
Yeah.
Which are brilliant and for the most part unbreakable. So much so that when Asimov breaks them in his own stories, they're incredibly clever and justified.
It feels like someone who read a Wikipedia page on Asimov's 3 laws of robotics and then decided to write around this film.
I think they read the first law and then forgot to read the other 2.
Yeah, they got excited at the one and just moved on.
For those of you who don't know, Asimov wrote a whole bunch of robot stories. There are 3 overriding laws for all of his robots. The first law is that a robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. The second law, a robot must obey orders given by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law. And the third law is that a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. So it's kind of watertight.
It's a perfect rule of thumb for robotics, right? It's that reference to the earlier laws that helps make each subsequent one unbreakable.
Now, it's fine if you don't use those laws at all and then have robots that go haywire for some reason. And in this case, the reason is fucking dumb lah. But if you wrote a sci-fi story like that in 2024, then the first question you would ask is, haven't you heard of Asimov's 3 laws? Like, why would you create a robot and not use those laws? Even at MIT, like in the real world, all of the robots they create are programmed with Asimov's 3 laws.
Sort of to go back to your earlier comment, if you're writing a world where Isaac Asimov never exists, that's fine. But you cannot reference the one law, ignore the other 2, and then have your robots break them.
Or also have that be the ultimate twist of your storyline.
Yeah.
Because I swear to God, man, when they were writing that, I bet they thought they were fucking clever lah. Meanwhile, I'm just rolling my eyes at how stupid the twist is. Like, why did Harlan rebel? Oh, wow.
It's really kind of lame. You know what?
It's so pedestrian.
As I was watching it between rounds of my game, I kept being reminded of remember those old 80s movies that never really took the time or the effort to do any real research, and they would just attach some fading B grade actor and just throw it out there for the video market? This really feels like that.
This actually feels like one of those mockbusters.
Yeah.
The cheap Jurassic Park ripoff, the cheap Armageddon ripoff. There are a dime a dozen, and this feels like one of those. It doesn't feel like a major, big budget Hollywood production with A-list stars. We're supposed to believe that Jennifer Lopez is 38 years old in this one.
Which, I mean, look,
Jennifer Lopez looks amazing.
she looks amazing, right?
But-
and I think that was not, see, that's not our problem. Our problem isn't that Jennifer Lopez can't pass for a 38-year-old. It's this argument that,
Why is she 38?
why is she 38?
Exactly. She doesn't
Yeah.
need to be.
It changes nothing if the story jumps forward 38 years. Making her 38 doesn't change what she does if she was 48. Does nothing.
And the thing is, if the movie was good, you could suspend enough disbelief where that isn't a problem. But because the movie is so bad, you spend so much time nitpicking everything that is going on because so much of it makes absolutely zero sense. Even the opening sequence, they have a bunch of soldiers who are going to take down one of these AI terrorists, right? So all of these AI terrorists have humanoid forms. They are cyborgs. And
We've
these
seen that
soldiers
before,
go
but
in
sure,
with
go on.
guns and they're like shooting him and like nothing is happening because like the bullets are practically bouncing off this guy and he's just taking the soldiers out left, right, and center. La. And then after that whole sequence, there is this like ion device with an EM pulse that completely wipes him out. I'm like, what's the problem? Why didn't you just place that in the first place and knock him the fuck out?
But also, it's this idea that that was the plan, right? Oh, we're going to trap him because we know what he's going to do. He's going to jump down into the corridor and then we've got him trapped with the EMP pulse. Why don't you just put it outside his door, knock the door, say pizza and run?
Exactly. He was there.
And you're right. It's that stupidity, right?
It's we need a cool action sequence in the beginning, but none of it makes actual logical sense.
Yeah, it doesn't, because that air quotes trap has caused you now to essentially kill 20 humans because you wanted to treat. Also, sorry, I'm just not even finishing my sentences right now. When they go to that planet to catch Harlan and his robot minions, why are they walking around with swords in their robot suits?
I have no idea.
Why not just strap fucking EMP machines on them and be done with it?
You're fighting these robot minions. They're already there on Earth, and you've been fighting them on Earth. So you know that your generic weapons don't work, and yet your robots and your mech suits only seem to have one ion pulse. And then just guns. And you're just shooting the guns, but nothing is happening to the bad guys.
Or you have to get really close with like a fucking sword because that's cool.
And it's so pedestrian cool. It's
Yeah.
the kind of cool that is designed for maybe people who've never seen a movie in their life before.
Yeah.
Like even the whole idea of her syncing with her mech. Oh, there's a problem. We can't sync to 100%, but 40% gives you motor controls and 60% gives you weapons controls. And you're 10 minutes, 20 minutes into the film and you're like, yeah, I bet within the last 5 minutes it's going to be like 100% sync. Oh, I can kick ass and do cool stuff now. And that's exactly what happens. And it's just so boring and predictable and in no way suspense filled. Like, there is no tension. She breaks her leg at some point, and within 2 minutes, it's solved. He's like, let's implement medical protocols. Your leg is fixed. Ta-da!
The only part of that sequence that was funny was when Smith forgot to give the pain medication first. But also, how can a robot forget pain medication? I mean, unless the person who programmed it in forgot the steps, a robot cannot skip steps.
Because then it's being jokey and tormenty for the sake of it. And then you are actually harming the human being, which you're not supposed to do. So it's not even following its own rules.
So what you're saying is that Smith did it on purpose?
To make a joke. That's what the movie implies.
I literally thought that he forgot.
Because robots can't forget. He shouldn't be able to forget. Because he says, or it's either before or after, he says, in the time it's taken you to say that, I've run through all of these millions of lines of code.
You know what it is? And I think I get a lot of pushback from people when I say things like, what is this movie for? What is the movie trying to say? Because this movie has to try and say something. You cannot just spend $100 million put Jennifer Lopez in a mech suit, tell us to pretend she's 38, and then not tell us anything about AI, about the impending nature of humanity, about the loggerheads of perfection and human wishy-washy. There has to be something. This movie says nothing about anything other than here are a bunch of air quotes cool scenes. I hope you enjoy it.
That's it. That's all this movie is. And even the cool scenes aren't that cool. Even the ending of the movie completely undermines the emotional moment that happened just 10 minutes before that. That's how stupid and ineffectual this film is.
Can I say,
And completely unsurprising coming from Netflix.
at about halfway through this film, I thought to myself, either Jennifer Lopez is a robot or the other humans around her are robots too, namely Sterling K. Brown and Mark Strong, because this movie has to do something.
You were hoping for a much bigger twist than they gave you, lah.
But that was my point, right? Like halfway through this film, I was hoping for something. I wanted something to happen. And if Jennifer Lopez suddenly turns out to be, oh, she's actually also a robot that nobody knew. What? Then it'd be like, oh, okay, cool, maybe. But
Maybe
this movie
she was made by her mother too.
yeah, but the point is, this movie does nothing. So as bad as those ideas were, they would have been air quotes something.
Yeah.
This movie does nothing.
Also, JLo looks like she's on the verge of tears in every single scene in this film. She's always looking like she's just about to cry.
Yeah, not just
I don't know what kind of
cry.
acting you call that, but it's like maybe frustration acting.
Internal turmoil acting, I think, is what she's doing.
Always looks like she's about to cry.
But it's not just about to cry because of sadness. It's just like I guess she's trying to deliver internal turmoil, like
Constipation acting. That's
constipation
what it is.
acting. That's the one. Yeah.
I got it.
But
I
you're
got it.
right in that she's always just on the wrong side of annoying.
Yes.
And I happen to like Jennifer Lopez.
I like Jennifer Lopez. It's
Yeah.
just, this is not good.
This is not good. Like, I think the directing was not strong enough.
It's Brad Payton, dude, whose only claim to fame is that he's directed 3 Dwayne Johnson movies.
Oh, really?
And Dwayne Johnson is the expert, professional in constipation acting. So that's probably where this movie comes from.
Oh, also, he did Sweet Girl, which is also very fucking annoying.
I think he was only a producer on Sweet Girl. He didn't direct
yes,
Sweet
he
Girl.
was just a producer on Sweet Girl.
Yes, but he did do Rampage, Journey 2,
Yeah.
and then was it the Skyscraper one? I can't remember what the third Dwayne Johnson movie he did was.
Oh, San Andreas.
San Andreas, the other disaster one. So I think that explains his qualifications, lah.
I guess.
Rubbish films, and this one is no different. Don't waste your time. If you've already seen Atlas, I'm sorry, but do tell us how much you hated it. You can reach out on all of our social media feeds, Goggler MY. You can also email us on podcast@goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline, 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.